Hello everybody. With the holiday season upon us, around this time of year, I like to shout out a great organization, the Animal Rescue League of Boston. This is a great organization that does so much for homeless dogs, cats, and various other animals. I'm a big supporter of rescuing homeless dogs and cats and the like, so this is an organization that I like to talk about every year. I'm going to leave a link to their website down below. Go check them out. So for the holiday season, let's see if we can do some good for homeless pets.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Tenebrae. I'm a Fulci fan through and through, but I will always love Dario Argento. He was my introduction into Italian horror. Dario Argento is one of the masters of Giallo movies. He's created some of the best films in the genre, and he was one of the people who started the boom in the 70s with Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Mario Bava and Dario Argento, and let's throw Umberto Lenzi in there as well, did help create the Giallo boom of the 70s. But from the mid-70s to the 80s, the Giallo genre was on its way out. But Dario Argento kept the genre alive in the 80s. Lucio Fulci had a hand in that too with New York Ripper, but Dario Argento gave us Phenomena, Opera, which was my first Italian horror movie, and Tenebrae. If I had to pick the gialli that had the best kills, Tenebrae and New York Ripper would be at the top of the list. The movie follows Peter Neal, an American horror writer taking a trip to Rome to promote his new book, Tenebrae. While he's there, he's harassed and stalked by a killer who's murdering everyone around him that is associated with his new novel. Simple premise, done so well. There's really not much more to the plot. It's a very well done plot. It's your typical Giallo flick plot. Somebody witnesses a murder, or there's a killer going around, and you have someone trying to find out who the killer is. I won't say that Tenebrae is my favorite Argento Giallo. I love Opera, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and Deep Red more, but Tenebrae is still a fantastic, bloody Giallo movie. I think Tenebrae is one of the more accessible Giallo movies for newcomers to this genre. It's the perfect gateway movie for those just getting into these films. And I think the reason for that is because at times, Tenebrae does feel more slasher-esque, here and there.
That little spy.
It is a Giallo movie. The whole film feels like a Giallo, but there are little moments and elements here and there that feel like a slasher movie. There's a decent body count in this movie, which I think is important to say, because it does have a higher body count than you see in most Giallo movies. There are gialli that have smaller body counts. Hell, you have gialli that will have just one body in the movie, a body count of one, and those movies can lean a little more to the mystery thriller side of things. And then you have the gialli that have kills that are on the bloodier side, and a few more kills, which lean a little more to the horror side of things. The kills in Tenebrae are on the bloodier side. There are kills that feel like gialli kills, and there are kills that feel like slasher kills.
It was the same razor. We had the opening examination on the girl killed 6 weeks ago. The blade has 3 jagged nicks in it. You want to see?
No, I believe you.
Now, there's no denying that the slasher genre took a lot of inspiration from the Giallo genre. From Blood and Black Lace, to Bay of Blood, to Torso. The Giallo genre heavily influenced the slasher genre. But as we were getting into the 80s, the slasher genre was growing in popularity, and Giallo movies were slowing down. When you look at movies like Tenebrae, Phenomena, and Opera from Argento and New York Ripper from Fulci, you can see the influence from American slasher movies. Still gialli, but with a hint of slasher. The Italian film industry took a lot of inspiration from popular movies, and I like the connection that there is here. First, Giallo influenced slasher, then slasher influenced Giallo. I like the connection between these two subgenres. They are separate while still being connected. There's a connection with every subgenre in the horror genre, and it's fun to make those connections. This being a Dario Argento movie, it is stylized beyond belief. One of the charms of Italian horror is that so many of these movies combine style with atmosphere. From the goriest movies to the more suspense-driven gothic horror, every one of these movies has that mix of style and atmosphere. And I love how pretty much every horror director has their own style that you can feel while watching their movies. Argento, Bava, Fulci, they all have their unique styles. Tenebrae has a flair to its filmmaking that makes even the slower moments interesting. I've always had a problem with obvious padding in films. I've complained about that many times. Many movies have padding in it. The trick is to hide the padding with interesting dialogue, interesting camera work, and other various tricks like that. Tenebrae has that. One scene that has been talked about so many times by fans of this film is this moment before two good kills. The camera is on a crane, and it moves from the first floor to the top floor, showing our two victims, then it goes over the building, while this awesome soundtrack is playing the entire time. This could have easily felt like boring padding, but with the camera work and the music playing throughout, it works. Tenebrae is also an example of one of my favorite things about Italian horror, how raw they feel at times. This is the case with many foreign films, but I'm an Italian horror fan, so we're gonna focus on this for now. There are moments that feel like guerrilla filmmaking, because guerrilla filmmaking was a big part of Italian filmmaking. There's this one great scene where you have this woman who is attacked and chased by a dog. Now, the way she's dressed in a miniskirt and high heels, and she's running throughout this scene. I love the fact that she's dressed in this very sexy outfit, and again, high heels, and she's running from a dog. And there are moments where the dog catches up to her, and the girl and the dog are in the same shot as the dog is roughing her up a bit. And there are also scenes where she climbs a fence and jumps over it. Again, while wearing a miniskirt and high heels. That's not something you see too often in American movies. A scene nowadays showing someone jumping over the fence, there would be 12 cuts in there as the person is jumping over the fence. But here, in Tenebrae, you clearly see this woman in just one shot climb up this fence and jump over this fence. Again, while wearing high heels. It's one thing to do a stunt, it's another thing to do a stunt in heels. I was just like, oh god, that woman's ankles. But no, she just handled it so well. And now for the spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I'm going to be talking about the kills in Tenebrae, and I want to go into detail with some of these kills because they are such a big part of this movie. So because of that, we're going to have a spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you have not seen Tenebrae, go watch it now. These are some great kills, and if you have not seen Tenebrae, you need to experience them for yourself. Going into spoilers in 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Every humiliation which stood in his way could be swept aside by this simple act of annihilation.
Tenebrae has so many kills that have become iconic to Italian Giallo fans. 2 of the best kills in the movie happen one right after the other in the same scene. The first one, you have this young woman, she's getting undressed, and as she's pulling the shirt over her head, it stops about here, and then the killer cuts open her shirt so you can see her face in the hole of the shirt, and then the killer cuts a hole in her. It takes a simple, straight razor kill. There are many times where you have a simple stabbing in a movie or a simple throat slitting or something like that, but then the filmmaker adds a few elements to make it a unique kill. That's what we have here in this shirt cutting open straight razor death. And then we have the kill right after that, which is also iconic. Not so much for the kill itself, but how the body lays down after the kill. The woman gets her throat slashed, and then her body lifelessly lays backwards, breaking through glass as she does so. Breaking glass is a staple of Argento films. Shattering glass is to Argento as eyeball trauma is to Lucio Fulci. The way her body is, you have her head leaning back with her hair dangling down. It's such a great image. There's a reason why it's used on so many releases of this film. 2 great kills back to back that are simple in theory, razor cutting and a throat slashing, but the way each sequence is filmed, the extra elements added to it, make them both standout kills. But the best kill in this movie, Quentin Tarantino's a fan of this one, the wall painting. A woman is sitting at a table in her house. She's afraid for her life. She's got a gun and she's resting her hand on the table while pointing her gun. And as you would expect, an axe comes through the window and chops her hand off. But this is an Argento flick. You can't just have a simple hand chopping. The woman stands up and paints the wall with the blood spraying out of her arm. There's also this nice little added detail where the camera gets a close-up shot of her severed hand going limp around the gun. That's what I'm talking about. Italian horror movies added an artistry to their kills. Lucio Fulci's kills had an artsiness to them, but being more on the gruesome side, adding suspense to his kills. Argento had a habit of making his kills beautiful. He would shoot them in a beautiful way, use nice, pretty colors in these gruesome scenes, making it so you couldn't look away. Argento put the art in arterial spray. While I do like Fulci a little more than Argento, Argento has still made so many great horror movies. There's a reason why Argento, Fulci, and Bava are held in such high regards amongst Italian horror fans. Tenebrae came out in the 80s when the Giallo genre was dying, but Argento managed to keep it alive in the 80s. And with that, let's get to the Grindhouse rankings. We've got a body count of 12. The kills consist of, but are not limited to, throat slashings, hand choppings, axe choppings, and good old-fashioned stabbings. It reaches the Giallo requirements with beautiful scenery, gloved hands, and painful deaths. There's a fair amount of nudity here, plenty of tits and ass to see. The camera work is very good. It adds a lot of style to the film, making the padding feel like beautiful set pieces. Speaking of beauty, yeah, this movie is beautiful. Argento makes some of the prettiest looking horror movies. Even the kills are nice to look at, despite the fact of how brutal they are. These are some standout kills. The body count is on the high side when it comes to gialli, and Tenebrae has some iconic deaths. and the film has a solid ending. I'm always up for a good final image. I'm giving this a 4.8 out of 5. It may not be my favorite Argento Giallo, but he makes a lot of great Giallo, so this is just another one of them. As always, I want to thank all of you for continuing to watch and support this channel. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite kills in a Giallo movie. If you haven't seen too many Gialli, then just give me some of your favorite slasher movie kills. Everyone's welcome here. This is the Maniac, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die.